I feel like I need one of those detective boards with red string that's connecting everything. Because last chapter gave us information. A lot of information. And now I don't know what to do with it. Wickham tells his side of the story. And Elizabeth is immediately interested. And suddenly Darcy's investigation folder has expanded from a few suspicious social interactions to an entire folder, which feels significant. Now, the problem is that we only know one side of the story. And every time I start feeling certain about something in this book, Jane Austen reminds me that certainty is a very dangerous game. So right now, I'm trying not to jump to conclusions. Am I succeeding? Probably not. Also, I love that while there's potentially huge emotional drama going on, the Bennet family is still the Bennet family. No matter what is happening around them, somebody's gossiping, somebody is embarrassing themselves, and somebody is making me laugh, which honestly keeps this book from taking itself too seriously. And I love that. All right. My investigative brain has turned on. I am ready for this chapter. Let's head on down to chapter 17. All right, chapter 17. I am super excited. Last chapter was crazy. We got a lot of information on Mr. Darcy. So let's see. So it says, Elizabeth related to Jane the next day what had passed between Mr. Wickham and herself. Already the tea is dropped. She's like, I'm going straight to my girl Jane. We're going to talk it out. I need to tell her everything that happened between what Mr. Wickham said to me about Mr. Darcy. Let's go. Let's go. That's my girl. She's running to her BFF, aka Jane, not Charlotte, right? Charlotte, sisterly love. Nothing beats running to your sister to talk about it. So let's see. So Jane listened with astonishment and concern. She knew not how to believe that Mr. Darcy could be so unworthy of Mr. Bingley's regard, and yet it was not in her nature to question the veracity of a young man of such amiable appearance as Wickham. So Jane being Jane, she's basically telling Elizabeth that we have to take Wickham for his word. Jane is very kind and nice, and she doesn't overstep. So that's kind of in her nature. She says, okay, well, whatever Wickham is saying, we got to take it as truth. But on the same token, she's saying, how can Mr. Darcy and Mr. Bingley be friends, especially my Mr. Bingley? How could they even be friends? There's got to be something there. There's got to be something there, especially with the different classes. How Darcy is higher up on the social scale than Bingley. So there's got to be something. There's got to be some good redeeming quality about Darcy. But let's continue on. The possibility of his having really endured such unkindness was enough to interest all her tender feelings. And nothing therefore remained to be done but to think well of them both. Totally Jane. Totally Jane. But let's continue on. So nothing therefore remained to be done but to think well of them both, to defend the conduct of each, and throw into the account of accident or mistake whatever could not be otherwise explained. Jane always covers her bases. She always sees the good in everybody. So there must be a reason. There must be a reason why people are like this. She can never see the bad in someone. So Jane just says, there's got to be a reason. It's all good. But, that is Jane, and that's why we love her. So let's continue on. So Jane says, they have both, said she, been deceived, I dare say, in some way or other, of which we can form no idea. Interested people have perhaps misrepresented each to the other. It is, in short, impossible for us to conjecture the causes or circumstances which may have alienated them without actual blame on either side, aka Jane always takes the high road, right? She said, we have no idea. We have no idea why they're like this, so we can't really judge them, which I kind of understand her perspective. But Elizabeth heard everything from Wickham, so she's already formed an opinion. But Jane, on the other hand, just says, we cannot conjecture, aka we can't guess, we can't make estimated guesses, hypotheses as to what happen, so let's just let them be. Jane. But Elizabeth comes back and says, well, very true indeed. And now, my dear Jane, what have you got to say in behalf of the interested people who have probably been concerned in the business? Do clear them, too, or we shall be obliged to think ill of somebody. So she comes right back and says, girl, your thought process, we can't, somebody's got to be to blame, okay? Somebody's got to be to blame. Come on, Jane. So I believe she's kind of mimicking, maybe teasing Jane and her way of viewing, right, her disposition, I guess, because they're sisters, right? You could kind of bicker back and forth. So let's see what Jane says. Jane goes, laugh as much as you choose. Yeah, she was kind of jabbing at her a little bit. Sisterly love. Laugh as much as you choose, but you will not laugh me out to my opinion. Go on, Jane, tell her. Tell her. My dearest Lizzie, do but consider in what a disgraceful light it places Mr. Darcy to be treating his father's favourite in such a manner, one whom his father had promised to provide for. It is impossible. No man of common humanity, no man who had any value of his character could be capable of it. Can his most intimate friends be so excessively deceived in him? Oh, no. So, in a nice way, I believe Jane is telling Elizabeth, girl, we know that Mr. Wickham has a beautiful countenance, a fine countenance, good breeding. Don't fall for it. Okay, Elizabeth? Do not fall for this dude. Something is weird. And Jane says it right here. What a disgraceful light it places Mr. Darcy to be treating his dad's favorite. Now, in this day and age, maybe you would kind of feel some type of way, right? Especially if you were your own blood and your father has taken more interest in somebody else. Could be different rules back then, that maybe a son could be emotionally more separated from the idea of not really being jealous, but to just be happy that his dad had some type of favorite, right? You want your dad to be you want your dad to be happy, right? So Jane is coming back in here and saying it's impossible that Darcy would act this way, especially in regards to his father's favorite. It just doesn't make any sense. It's not common. It's, has no value for his character. He's not capable of it. I don't know, but we shall see. Let's keep it going. Elizabeth comes back and says, I can much more easily believe Mr. Bingley's being imposed on than that Mr. Wickham should invent such a history of himself as he gave me last night. Names, facts, everything mentioned without ceremony. If it be not so, let Mr. Darcy contradict it. Besides, there was truth in his looks. So, Elizabeth is a sucker maybe for liars. She can't see if somebody's lying right to her face. She's saying that I didn't kind of feed him. He gave me all the information by himself, right? I had the decorum and I just, sat there next to him and he basically told me everything. He gave me the tea and he came with receipts. He gave me names. He gave me facts. He gave me everything mentioned without me having to pull teeth from him or even, kind of entice him. So he did it all himself. But does she know that there's psychopaths out there? Maybe Mr. Wickham is just a walking psychopath, a compulsive liar, a narcissist. No idea. You met the dude once, okay? She locked eyes on him. He talks nice. He talks fine. She's like, whatever comes out of his mouth, I'm game. But Jane can see maybe right through him. Because Jane comes back and says, it is difficult indeed. It is distressing. One does not know what to think. She's kind of giving up. She's like, girl, I don't know what to think about this. But Elizabeth comes back and says, I beg your pardon. one knows exactly what to think. And what would that be? That Mr. Wickham isn't lying, that Mr. Wickham was telling the truth and gave her everything that she wanted to know. It's interesting, though, because maybe Mr. Wickham has an ulterior motive. He knows that she was with Darcy, right? So he knows that she spent, I think, what was it, 4 days at Netherfield? So maybe he's trying to put in a bad word so that tie is already severed, and she's not even thinking about him as a romantic interest. But she's not. She's not at this stage. But Darcy is looking at those fine eyes. But we'll see. So let's continue going. But Jane could think with certainty on only one point, that Mr. Bingley, if he had been imposed upon, would have much to suffer when the affair made public. Jane is only caring about Bingley. If it has nothing to do with Bingley, has nothing to do with her man, she's like, girl, I don't know what to think. Who cares? Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's move on. All right? So I just came off of a really bad case of pneumonia. Girl, I am spent. I am done. Okay? But what about my bro Bingley? Right? That's the only one that I care about. That's what Jane is saying. So let's keep it going. The two young ladies were summoned from the shrubbery where this conversation passed. So they were out. Oh, they were cute. They were outside chilling in the shrubbery. Oh. So the two young ladies were summoned from the shrubbery where this conversation passed by the arrival of some of the very persons of whom they had been speaking. We got three contenders. Darcy, obviously, Wickham, and Bingley, because those were the three dudes that we were just talking about. Who would come? Mr. Bingley. Mr. Bingley's coming. I'm assuming that they're back at Longbourn. So Bingley's coming back. Bingley's paying a visit to Longbourn? Ooh, okay. So Mr. Bingley and his sisters came to give their personal invitation for the long-expected ball at Netherfield, which was fixed for the following Tuesday. Thank you, Lydia, because Lydia was the one that called that day. She said, my sister's all better, Jane's all better. Boom, Tuesday. Be there or be square. So next Tuesday, I got to get ready. I got to get dressed. I'm going to the ball, too. I'm going to the ball. I'm dancing. Let's do this. So the two ladies were delighted to see their dear friend again. So the two ladies is Miss Caroline and Mrs. Hurst. So Bingley's two sisters, which, if I'm not mistaken, he has more sisters, because I remember in the beginning of this whole novel that he was going to London to bring his sisters, and I believe there's 5 of them, but I could be mistaken. Okay, but let's continue. So the two ladies were delighted to see their dear friend again. Their dear friend is Jane, because of the connection between Jane and Bingley. They don't want to step on any toes of Charles's, aka Bingley. So the two ladies were delighted to see their dear friend again, called it an age since they had met. I mean, it's been a minute. It has been a minute, especially for me. Like, can we just go back to Netherfield? That was so much fun. You know, with the whole Mr. Collins just threw me in for a loop. I want to go back to Netherfield. I just want to chill. Let's gossip. Let's do some dancing. Seems like we're getting back to that, though. So they called it an age since they had met, and repeatedly asked what she had been doing with herself since their separation. And to the rest of the family, they paid little attention. Of course they would. So they avoiding Mrs. Bennet as much as possible. She could be a handful. She's a handful. That's going to be Bingley's mother-in-law, maybe, potentially. And she is a handful. But she's so cute, though. But, you know, why do they care? They avoided her. So avoiding Mrs. Bennet as much as possible, saying not much to Elizabeth, because remember, Caroline wants Darcy. Caroline is still going for Darcy. Mrs. Hurst is married, but Caroline is going for Darcy. But now there's this whole love rectangle because we have Darcy. Let's see if I can make a rectangle. Darcy wants Elizabeth, right? But then Carolyn wants Darcy. So Elizabeth, Darcy, Carolyn. But then there's Miss Catherine de Bourgh, where the families are supposed to unite. They're cousins. So that's a rectangle. That could be a square. A love square. Crazy. A lot of things going on in this novel. I'm loving it. Let's keep going. So avoiding Mrs. Bennet as much as possible, saying not much to Elizabeth and nothing at all to the others. They were soon gone again, rising from their seats with an activity which took their brother by surprise, and hurrying off as if eager to escape from Mrs. Bennet's civilities. Where'd they go? They just wanted to show face to Jane. They're like, "Oh, Jane, you doing good? What were you doing since we last saw you? Oh, okay, you been good? All right, peace, bye." I'm out of chill. They got no chill. But oh, here they are. So here is, let's see, this has to be Bingley and Jane probably in the middle, because Bingley doesn't care about anybody else except for Jane. My dude. So he's wherever Jane is, that's who is his object of attention. And then because the other two women have shawls on, they got hats, those are definitely the two sisters. So Elizabeth is not in this picture. So we are at Longbourn. Bingley is hanging out with Jane. They're just talking to Jane. They're not basically talking to anybody else. And then once the conversation's over, they're like, "All right, peace, bye." But the coloring is so beautiful. But I say that every time though. Let's continue on. So the prospect of the Netherfield ball was extremely agreeable to every female of the family, including Mary, including middle Mary. Mary had no objection. But if she did, does anybody care? No. So all the females in the family, including Mrs. Bennet, she's down. Because any step closer for Jane being married to Bingley, getting her booty in Netherfield, she's going to do it. So she's like, "A ball? Tuesday? We're down." Mrs. Bennet chose to consider it as given in compliment to her eldest daughter, and was particularly flattered by receiving the invitation from Mr. Bingley himself instead of a ceremonious card. Basically what I just said. The only reason why we're having this ball is because we need to get Jane and Bingley back together again. And Mrs. Bennet is basically saying, "Thanks so much for coming directly to me, telling me face to face instead of getting some stupid card in the mail via carrier." So she's over the moon. And Jane pictured to herself a happy evening in the society of her two friends and the attentions of their brother. So Jane's already like, "I'm going to be chilling with my friends, Carolyn and Mrs. Hurst." I don't remember her name. What is her name? Please let me know. I'll try to find it in the meantime. But it's Carolyn and something else. Oh my goodness. It passes me at the moment. But anyway, so she's excited. She's going to be chilling with the two friends, Mrs. Hurst and Carolyn, and Bingley. So she's all over the moon. And Elizabeth, though with pleasure of dancing a great deal with Mr. Wickham, and of seeing a confirmation of everything in Mr. Darcy's look and behavior. So Elizabeth is starting to already see into the future and see that she might end up with Mr. Wickham. Is this going to be the case? She's like, "Mr. Wickham's going to pick me. We're just going to be dancing the night away." And in dancing, she's like, "I'm going to be looking to see what Darcy is going to be looking like. Is he going to go red? Is he going to go white? We still have no idea. I still need to know." I want to say, I was commenting with you guys in the comments, I think Darcy's going to go red, because it's just not in his nature, to me, to act as if all the blood has completely drained from his face. But then again, Wickham from what he's saying, he wouldn't go white either. Ugh, this is horrible. Maybe more information somewhere along the lines. We can get a direct answer, but we shall continue on at this moment. So the happiness anticipated by Catherine and Lydia depended less on any single event or any particular person. The two youngest daughters, they're just like, we're going to the ball. We're going to the ball. Hey. So they're just young girls. They're just chilling. For though they each, like Elizabeth, meant to dance half the evening with Mr. Wickham, so there's competition there, he was by no means the only partner who could satisfy them. And a ball was, at any rate, a ball. They're just chilling, right? They just love the boys and they love balls. Yes. Maybe Colonel Forrester, but he's supposed to be getting married. So Captain Carter, where's Mr. Denny? Any of the ensigns they'll dance with, right? Are any of the ensigns coming from Meryton? Please let them know. They want to know. And even Mary, she gets one sentence, guys. We have to give it up. We have to give it up for Jane Austen giving Mary one sentence. And even Mary could assure her family that she had no disinclination for it. Of course, she's fighting philosophical demons day in, day out. So she's like, a ball, there can't be anything wrong with that. So, yeah, I can go. I can go. Because she has some type of, chip on her shoulder. She's trying too hard. But she actually has more than one sentence. She's got a whole dialogue here. So Mary, tell us. Mary says, while I can have my mornings to myself, said she, it is enough. I think it is no sacrifice to join occasionally in evening engagements. Society has claims on us all, and I profess myself one of those who consider intervals of recreation and amusement as desirable for everybody. Girl, just say you want to have fun. It's okay to have fun. It is okay. You chill, you get some work done, and then at the end of the day, have some fun. So she's like, don't have the ball in the morning because my mornings are to myself. But evening engagements, I fought with myself internally. I had an emotional internal struggle, and I can say that, yes, I will be able to make the ball. Mary. Now turning on to Elizabeth. Elizabeth's spirits were so high on the occasion that though she did not often speak unnecessarily to Mr. Collins, she could not help asking him whether he intended to accept Mr. Bingley's invitation, and if he did, whether he would think it proper to join in the evening's amusement. So I'm going to pause right there with the semicolon. Mr. Collins is coming in. Is Mr. Collins going to agree to the invitation? Remember, he's a clergyman, aka a pastor, with Lady Catherine de Bourgh. So can he come? Is it against his wishes? Can he have fun? Maybe. We'll see. So Elizabeth is like on cloud nine because all she's thinking about is she's just going to be dancing with Wickham. One eye on Wickham, one eye on Darcy. She's cross-eyed. Our girl's not cross-eyed, but she's going to be watching Darcy just to see what he looks like when she's dancing with Wickham. But because she's so happy, she's talking with Collins. She would not be doing that on a regular basis. So she asked, are you going to come to the ball, to Bingley's ball at Netherfield? Let's see. And she was rather surprised to find that he entertained no scruple whatsoever or whatever on that head, and was very far from dreading a rebuke, either from the Archbishop or Lady Catherine de Bourgh, by venturing to dance. So it's a go. It's a go for Mr. Collins. He is coming to the ball. Why? He just wants to look at the furniture. He's looking at that furniture. He's going to talk about the furniture, and he's going to find someone to just get in the corner and just talk the night away about himself and about his humble abode. So he's coming. He's coming to the party. He says, there's not going to be a rebuke from Lady Catherine de Bourgh. Not that I think so. So let's see. He's got to say something. And he's not just going to say, I'm going. Yes, thanks for asking. He's going to give us this. So let's read it, shall we? Oh, and Mr. Collins definitely does get the glasses. So here we go. I am by no means of opinion, I assure you, said he, that a ball of this kind, given by a young man of character to respectable people, can have any evil tendency. So he doesn't see anything wrong with this. There's no evil in a guy of respectable character having a ball. Okay. And I am so far from objecting to dancing myself that I shall hope to be honored with the hands of all my fair cousins in the course of the evening. Ew, dude, do not. No, nobody, not even one of them is going to come and ask you to dance, all right? So get over it. Or you're trying to just shoot your shot. I shall hope to be honored with the hands of all my fair cousins in the course of the evening. And I take this opportunity of soliciting yours, Miss Elizabeth, for the 2 first dances especially. Do I have to continue on? A preference which I trust my cousin Jane will attribute to the right cause and not to any disrespect for her. So we already saw in the past, I don't know, maybe 2 chapters, 3 chapters, where his first choice of marriage was Jane. But Mrs. Bennet said, she's not for sale. She's with Bingley. So he's just like, all right, so if I can't take the oldest, I'm going for the second oldest. So it's you, Elizabeth, or Elizabeth. So he's already saying, I'm going to be dancing, and I'm going to be dancing my first 2 dances with you, Elizabeth. She didn't get asked by anybody else. What is she going to say? She wants to dance with Wickham. So is she going to be kind and be respectful and say, yes, I would dance with you? Or is she going to try to maybe persuade him not to? What would Lizzie do? I'm going to go with, she's going to not be respectful. She's going to say something. Let's see. That's just my thought. Am I going to be right? Let's see. Okay. Elizabeth felt herself completely taken in. Okay. She had fully proposed being engaged by Wickham for those very dances. Exactly what we just said, guys. Exactly what we just said. And to have Mr. Collins instead, she wants to barf. Give this girl a barf bag, okay? Because she needs it. She needs to be outside, give her some fresh air. She's probably feeling a little nauseous at this point. Her liveliness had been never worse timed. She's like, how could this be happening to me? How could this be happening to me? There was no help for it, however. Mr. Wickham's happiness and her own was perforce delayed a little longer, and Mr. Collins' proposal accepted with as good a grace as she could. Oh, okay, so she was respectful. All right, I'll give it to her. I don't live in the Regency era. I would say, I can't really dance. But you know who can? So Jane is 1, I'm 2. Mary. Mary can totally dance. You should do the first 2 dances with her. But she took the high road and she said, yes, I would love to dance. Because she knows the end game. She's like, if I can't get the 2 dances with Wickham, maybe later on. I could wait. So she was not the better pleased with his gallantry. From the idea it suggested of something more. She's thinking ahead. She's thinking 12 steps ahead. So she's saying, why does he want to dance with me? This isn't good. This is not good. This is not good for me. It now first struck her that she was selected from among her sisters as worthy of being the mistress of Hunsford Parsonage and of assisting to form a quadrille. Thank you guys for letting me know how to pronounce it. Assisting to form a quadrille table at Rosings in the absence of more eligible visitors. She's putting the pieces together. She's like, why does he want to dance with me first? I see it. I see my future just going bye-bye. Because now I'm going to be the mistress at the humble abode in Hunsford Parsonage. That's me, Elizabeth. She needs 2 bar bags. She needs some anti-nausea pills. She needs fresh air. She needs a cold towel around her neck. She needs a lot of things right now, okay? So she's hanging on. She's hanging on by a thread, guys. The idea soon reached to conviction as she observed his increasing civilities towards herself. Now she's saying, why is he being so personable? Why is he making sure that he has the best manners in front of her? It's all adding up. The math is mathing for Elizabeth. And heard his frequent attempt at a compliment on her wit and vivacity, and, though more astonished than gratified herself by this effect of her charms, it was not long before her mother gave her to understand that the probability of their marriage was exceedingly agreeable to her. Oh no. Houston, we have a problem here. Okay? No. She's like, I didn't work this hard to have such wit, to have such good humor, to, what else did they say? To have the charms that I have, to just have a great personality, to end up with this dude. No, I did not sign up for this. No. And she's now looking at her mother, and her mother's like, yes, 2 of my daughters are going to get married. She doesn't care who. Collins? Sure, just as long as they are married. Uh-oh. Elizabeth, however, did not choose to take the hint, being well aware that a serious dispute must be the consequence of any reply. Mr. Collins might never make the offer, and till he did, it was unless to quarrel about him. So Elizabeth is kind of thinking about this all in her mind. I'm assuming she's playing chess here, 15 steps ahead. So she knows that her mother, Mrs. Bennet, is very much agreeable to this, how Collins is going to try to marry Elizabeth. However, she's like, I can't dispute with my mom on this. I can't even bring it up. Let's not even talk about it, because then we're just going to have an argument. And we're thinking way too far in advance. Mr. Collins didn't even ask my hand in marriage yet. So let's not even talk about it. Hopefully it doesn't happen. I hope it doesn't happen. Let's see. So if there had not been a Netherfield ball to prepare for and talk of, the younger Miss Bennets would have been in a pitiable state at this time. For from the day of the invitation to the day of the ball, so from when Bingley came over to give the invitation to that Tuesday, so from that time, there was such a succession of rain as prevented their walking to Meryton once. They care about the ensigns. And if it's England, it's raining, they can't walk the mile to Meryton to see their boys. So they are, and we're talking about Catherine and Lydia here, Kitty and Lydia. So they're just in the house. It's raining. They can't see anybody. They're miserable. No aunt, no officers, no news could be sought after. They are miserable. The very shoe roses for Netherfield were got by proxy. Even Elizabeth might have found some trial of her patience in weather, which totally suspended the improvement of her acquaintance with Mr. Wickham. So even Elizabeth was like, I can't even get out. It's raining. I can't find my boy, Mr. Wickham. I can't talk to him. So she's even feeling it. And nothing less than a dance on Tuesday could have made such a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday endurable to Kitty and Lydia. So that's 4 days from when the invitation to the ball rained. Good for the crops. Good for the crops. Not for Kitty and Lydia, though. So we got a ball. We got a ball coming. I am excited. There's going to be drama. I could already sense it. There's going to be definitely Wickham and Darcy drama for sure. And Mr. Collins, my guess is that he's going to try to make it about himself, but he's just going to be in the back. No one's going to care. But that's just my thing. So I'm excited. Let's go to the ball. Okay, I don't know how Jane Austen keeps doing this, but every chapter somehow creates 3 new problems. First of all, the Netherfield ball is happening, which means that every single person in this novel starts acting and training as if it was the Olympics. The amount of emotional significance that is tied to one event is astonishing. And I already know that something crazy is going to happen because, Jane Austen. I don't know what, but I can feel it. Also, can we talk about Mrs. Bennet for a hot second? Because this woman is fully mentally preparing Jane's wedding. She's probably selecting her grandchildren's name, and she's probably picking out curtains for Netherfield.
Ma'am, slow down.
Nothing has happened yet. And then Mr. Collins. Oh, no. No. Just no. Because the second I realized that he chose Elizabeth as his target, I felt such genuine emotional concern. Like, we've all spent many chapters now watching this man just make a fool out of himself at every chance that he can get. And now you're telling me that he's going to try to pursue our Elizabeth? I don't like that. I don't like that at all. Also, I love how this book makes me believe that it's basically only about one thing, and then suddenly it's about something else. 1 minute, I'm investigating Darcy. The next minute, I'm worried about Elizabeth. And then the next minute, Mr. Collins appears and everything just catches fire. It's absolutely incredible. Go Jane Austen. Okay, current standings. Elizabeth is in danger. Jane is unintentionally creating chaos, but we still love her. Bingley is thriving. Mrs. Bennet is planning events that don't even exist. Mr. Collins is approaching with terrifying confidence. And me? I am deeply excited, but deeply concerned about this upcoming ball. And also, thank you so much to you guys for chatting with me up in the comments, gossiping about the characters. It's probably the most fun out of all of this. All right, you know the drill. Let's rehydrate, get some water in. And when you are ready, I will see you for chapter 18. Kiki out.